Alright, hello YouTube, welcome back to Eric's Reviews channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about everything I liked and disliked from episode 4, or maybe things I thought were questionable. This one's going to be really different, I think, from the last couple ones. I don't have as much to say on the negatives. Also, if you guys can tell, I am a little sick, so struggling through this video. Hopefully it doesn't bother you guys too much with my voice or whatnot. So, let's get into episode 4 of the Percy Jackson show. So by far, this was my favorite episode of the 4 so far. It definitely didn't do anything that I think was like abnormally bad. And so I think there's going to be a lot more good in this episode than I would say in the negative or questionable section. So starting out, I've got to give them credit, right? I think this was a big turnaround episode for Annabeth. We got more of her as a character. We developed her quite a lot. We looked at her backstory, her relationship with her father and her mother, which were great. Even one of the negatives actually kind of plays into a positive that I think could going forward could be really interesting, on the idea of like Annabeth is this character that has this blind love for her mother, Athena. Again, it's very one-sided. It's almost like a celebrity relationship. If you have somebody that you can think of, whether it's Taylor Swift. A lot of people really like Taylor Swift. That is a one-sided relationship for the most part. She's not like talking to you. She's not texting back. She's not like, there's no actual relationship from Taylor Swift to you, right? That's kind of how it is in the show when it comes to Annabeth and Athena. And so what I find is interesting is one of the plot points, again, spoilers for the episode, is that there is this temple or sanctuary in the arch for Athena. And so no monsters should be able to get in, but because of the things that they did in the previous episode, mailing this Medusa head to Olympus, Athena was embarrassed by this and allows these monsters to attack them. How is that going to change the way Annabeth views her mother? Right? She almost died sacrificing herself for the quest. This could have taken her life. Because her mother was embarrassed? That's not how you should treat your kids at all. So that's a great point that I think going forward will be really interesting to see how they develop that. Also, other positives. I think really our crew as a whole, our trio, the trio just themselves are developing really nicely. I'm starting to believe their chemistry much more. They are much more enjoyable to watch on the screen than the last episode. And I think, there were some things I didn't like about episode 3. I think the one thing they did right, I think, was majority of the ending. I think the ending brought these characters closer together. And I thought that was a good part of this episode. Another part of this episode, I think, once again, the music in this episode was fantastic. The horror elements specifically, when we get to the action set pieces or the set pieces where our heroes are being hunted, is great. All of that was fantastic. I think the humor in this episode was very good. When they're just in the fountain trying to heal Percy, really funny scene. Grover's scene when Annabeth and Percy are having this very deep conversation. That's by far the best scene for me personally of the entire episode. And you've got Grover like, how am I supposed to sleep? You guys are chatting it up and it's like the middle of the night. So that was also really, really good. I thought the way that they shot a lot of the horror scenes, right? Like, they have really so far played an element that these monsters can kill our heroes. Like, they have a presence about them. Whereas, like, if you compare to something like, for instance, like Call of Duty or some other game where you feel like the hero, you're untouchable, and the monsters almost, or not the monsters, but the enemies have almost nothing to them, that's not how this show feels. This show feels like the monsters are built up, the shots of them slowly coming towards our heroes, or giving us shots in which we don't see the monster, but they're already intimidating. Notably, when you look at the train sequence and the door being basically popped off or whatever, all of that works really, really well for the story and the way that we get this build-up sense of the danger of the monsters. All of that's fantastic. Percy Jackson, the actor who plays him, continues to be fantastic, but I also like the development that we get here of showing that Percy Jackson is this hero, right? This guy that will put himself, when it comes to sacrificing himself for his friends. Standing up to bullies, something we've seen as a big trend with this entire series. I really like the way they're going with the show so far. It's getting better as we go on. I think we had some hiccups in episode 3, but episode 4 fixed a lot of those. I think for the most part, I don't have a lot of complaints about episode 4. But I guess I will talk about some of the complaints of episode 4. The only complaints that really come to mind is some of the logic when it comes to why would Athena allow the monsters to go into the arch It's a sanctuary for her. It's very sacred. She lets these monsters go in because she's embarrassed. Doesn't really seem to make sense to me. Athena is the goddess of wisdom, if you did not know, and she's a very wise character. She would know that letting these monsters in almost guaranteed is going to kill either all this party or her daughter. Very stupid. Also, when you think about the idea that she's embarrassed, why? She's the one that cursed Medusa. She does not like Medusa. Medusa is the person that, again, if we want to even connect this back to Medusa, right, which is another part I didn't even think about. This is a positive I actually really like. If we think about this, Medusa, the reason she gets cursed is because she's seen as embarrassing Athena. That's kind of what we see with Annabeth, right? She, quote unquote, embarrasses her. Now, I might not believe the embarrassment, but it's a nice parallel, again, of paralleling Annabeth's character with Medusa. I really enjoy that. But when you look at the idea that she embarrassed her mother, it doesn't really make sense to me. It doesn't add up. If anything, you would think you'd be proud of your daughter. Killed this really insane, one of the most known monsters of Greek mythology, and it was really because of Annabeth's plan. And also sending a statement to Zeus, right? Because Medusa, in a lot of ways, had authority from Zeus to try and get this bull back. It sends a message. So I don't understand it. I don't understand that plot point. Maybe you guys can give me some reasoning to why I should believe it. But personally, I didn't believe that too much. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me personally. I also thought, again, the mother of monsters and her monster in general weren't the most interesting villains. It's a big downgrade when you go from Medusa to this character, because this character didn't really have much. It was really, they were a bad guy to be a bad guy. But I don't know. Well, let me know what you guys think. Like, they were an intimidating presence, and they were like very weird and mysterious, but they didn't really give you the vibe of a character like Medusa, which is very difficult to do, right? Because Medusa is such an influential character. But I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. If you let me know what you guys think about the episode, the good and the bad. I think another thing I'd be a little bit questionable on is this episode was very short. It was less than 30 minutes, and it really felt that way. It really felt very short, and you can even tell that by the big review that came out Friday. It was less than 40 minutes long, whereas every other review that we've recorded has been an hour plus. So it did feel pretty short. Now, one thing I'm interested in is we're at the halfway mark, and we have a lot of stuff that it's going to be interesting to see how they cover it. The next episode is going to be really important, really big for the story. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. I hope, again, that me being sick did not distract you too much from the video. I'm a little bit out of breath by the end of this, so yeah, I was going to talk a little bit more, but I'm not going to, because I really not feeling the best. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.